3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Has-Beens presented by 10K Takes, brought to you always by the Chill Boys.
And you can go on www.chillboys.com. And listeners, you can type in HB15 to get 15% off your first order from the Chill Boys. Get your underwear, socks made out of bamboo.
If you are confused, rightfully so, Gage is not with us this week. He's dealing with some personal stuff, so he took his first break. I think it's his first break, right, boys? He's been on every episode but this one.
I believe so.
Well deserved. But why don't we just hop into the weekend recap, as always, by
Beauty Status.
And folks, Beauty Status is an authentic Minnesota hockey brand. T-shirts, head covers, stickers for the man cave, flags, polos. They've got it all. Good Minnesota hockey stuff for all the fans out there. Go and check out Beauty Status on all socials. Their website is www.beautystatishky.com.
Veech, what'd you get up to this weekend?
First and foremost, I'll endorse the Chill Boys. They were a sponsor, one of the holes at the 10K Golf Invitational this past year. They were just handing them out as long as you hit the green on one of them, which was a lot harder than I expected it to be, but well worth it if you put the effort in those things. Every time I dig those ones out, because I just, I blindly grab stuff out of my drawer. But when I find a way to grab those ones out, it's like, oh, it's going to be a good day today. So
it's the only underwear I have now. I've got like 7 pairs, and I just got them on rotation.
Honestly, that's probably the way to do it. Weekend. It was a long one. Every time I drive up to Duluth, I feel like it's a long weekend for one reason or another. But left here, late afternoon on Friday, made it up there, and then immediately got to the fiance's parents' house, dropped some stuff off, dropped the pup off, and had to hit the road. We were going to meet my parents. They got the idea to do, a fish fry on a Friday. I don't know if people are doing Lent or they're just still on a little bit of a carryover from, doing a little bit earlier in the year. But, we narrowed it down to a couple different spots, Eagle's Nest way out of town, or where we ended up going, the Beacon over in Hermantown, little local spot for all of the class reunions you want. But we get there, we sit down, it's probably, 6:30, and getting to watch the hockey games on TV, pretty good spot. And then we put our drink orders in. About a half an hour later, we get our drinks, and we're trying to put food order in. Fish fry doesn't exist there anymore. So the whole point we went there, they're out of fish at 6:30. So I was like, whatever, not a big deal. It's a burger spot anyway. I'm not a big fish guy all the time, so it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. But, the drinks was just a little bit of a precursor to how the night was going to go, because I don't think we ended up getting our food until like 8:30. It was just an insane thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting any blame on them. It was an incredibly busy place. Everybody there is there to watch hockey. And the grill is probably like a tiny Weber back of the truck tailgate. I don't know what they're working with, but I know it's small because I've seen the kitchen there, and it's not great. But food came out great. I'm not disparaging any of that. It was just a funny story because it just allowed me to watch hockey, and then the girlfriend couldn't be mad when I was sitting there watching it on my phone anywhere else. So it worked out for me.
Yeah, the worst part about that, right, is you probably ate lunch at home before you went up to Duluth, and you're all excited. Yep. You've got plans, and then all of a sudden it's 8 o'clock, and those gin and tonics are hitting a little harder.
100%. And that's exactly what we were doing. They had ran out of the bottom shelf gin, so they were giving us, the upgraded stuff, Tanqueray 10 or whatever it was, for the bottom shelf price, and it was working out pretty well. So end of the night, I was really happy somebody else was driving, but. Saturday, more of the same in terms of that. We got up early and got after it. A couple fireball shooters and a couple of, little nips going out because we were going snowboarding at Spirit Mountain. They were doing their end of the season festivities, a little bit of water skipping at the end of the day. Watching people try and fail miserably to do that. And it's always a blast. I just never understand why people decide to go in their full parka and snow pants and everything. You're going to get soaked to suck up the 15 seconds it's going to take to get down the quarter of a run to get to this pond. and go through there instead of having to carry around the sopping wet clothes. But I don't know. That's just me being a nitpicky asshole for other people's choices, and let them live their lives, I guess. So
fair enough.
The snowboarding was good. It was a perfect day in terms of weather, just because you wear a snow pants, maybe even that was a little bit too much for me, and a sweatshirt, and you're still hot all day. But that's how I prefer, as long as you don't have to bundle up. You're not like wind ripping in your face or anything. It's just a nice leisurely day out there. So that was great. And then Sunday, it's the brunch recap with the crew, and then the long drive home. But this is kind of the benefit, or a little life hack I'm going to give out to everybody now. And hopefully the state troopers and everybody else aren't listening or watching here. But if you get one of those little magnet dash mounts and you set your phone up and you're streaming games, and you don't have to watch it, it's just coincidentally you might find a little bit sneak peek over there. It's actually more for your passenger that's watching it. But driving with like a tournament on makes the time go by so much faster. I used to plan road trips when the state tournament was going on, at least that Thursday, Friday, so that I could have a constant stream of games going. Because when you've got something like that to listen to, like a consistent storyline, they never seem nearly as long. So that 3-hour drive it took us to get home felt like it was 45 minutes versus, I listened to 75 different songs on the way home. I listened to one hockey game. It was great.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's just, me being a ADHD person that kind of measures time in that way. It's number of things that passed on the way. If there's only one of them, it seems like it goes by so much faster. So
that's very smart, my friend. I might have to integrate that, because my radio doesn't work in my car anymore. So it's great silence for 2 hours up to Duluth.
Yeah, that would be brutal. However, I will say this, and I've been criticized for this before too. Every once in a while, I'll turn everything off, like no noise in the background or anything. And like, I'll just sit there, I'll have a conversation with myself. And it's not that I'm like, just like talking or anything. It's just a matter of, I'm going to try out all these stupid accents and just see how dumb I can be. And it makes me chuckle to myself the entire time. So that sometimes is premium entertainment, but that can only go on for so long before you get bored of yourself too. So.
I love it. Yeah. Sounds like a great weekend.
Yeah.
Mace, what'd you get up to?
So not too crazy of a weekend for me. Friday night, got off work and pretty much just watched all my picks go down the drain. Ended up being a rough weekend for my predictions, but we'll bounce back. We'll get them next week or the weekend after. But yeah, on Friday, me and some buddies ended up going to a little local establishment called Leaning Tower Pizza, which is basically just a half block north of my house, and ended up getting buckled there for a little bit, taking some mystery shots, the drill. And then Saturday, woke up on the couch, a little crippled, and then just started it right back up again. Went to this place called Eat Street Crossing in Uptown. It was the place that I tried to go to last time, but then went to the wrong name. And it was really good this time. It was really cool. It was one of those places where there's like multiple different restaurants in it, and kind of sit wherever you want and stuff. So posted up there for a little bit and then walked back. And then later that night, we ended up going to this Mexican restaurant called El Nuevo Mariachi. That's also in Uptown on East Street. And I'll tell you guys this, it was one of the best damn experiences I've ever had in my life. It was so electric. I'll get more into it in the nail gun of the week, but I mean, it's going to be a fire restaurant when you're the only white people there. And let me tell you, the food was fucking incredible, dude.
I saw your Snapchat. Those tacos looked incredible.
Oh my God. And we got, like when you go to Chipotle, you pay like $8 and you get a little cup of guac or whatever.
Yeah.
We got this fucking cauldron of guac for $8. I mean, we were like loading up chips at the end, and oh man, great place. If you guys are ever in Uptown for whatever reason, go there. It is unreal. And then Sunday, just watched hockey again. Not too much, and called it
recovery day. Love that. Expect it. Good weekend. I was busy this weekend, boys. I had my parents down. They just need to get out of Duluth every once in a while, so they came down to hang out with Shelby and I. So Friday we went to the Burger Bar here, which is like a small little joint. It's almost like 2 rooms big. It's a grill and it's got seating for like 12, and they just hammer out burgers. So we had a nice little burger there, and then we went to that cash bar that I love, White Bear Bar. Did some pull tabs, played some darts, played a little bit of the number wheel. Turned out to be a pretty good night. We had my parents, her parents, and then Matt Van Boris and his wife joined us. So it was a pretty good night, pretty laid back though, just kind of sat around, had some drinks and some good chit chat. And then Saturday, Shelby had a brunch thing with her friends. So my parents and I worked on the house. We got our last little room painted, painted the ceiling, painted the walls. So now we just got to lay down some flooring, and we're getting there. But obviously after that hard day's work, we went to the VFW, slammed some beers, slammed some vodka Sprites. We had one of Shelby's friends join us, and then my parents kind of drifted off on Saturday. They didn't have quite the energy they had the night before, so we brought them home, and then we went over to Beartown, which is another local joint. It's the one that I go to after skates here on Mondays. And this is where the story kind of takes a turn. We get there, and honest to God, we laughed for an hour straight. And there was some fucker at that bar just letting them rip. And you could smell it. The whole place could smell it. So the first one happened, and everybody, you know how you smell it. You don't really say anything to anybody. You just kind of hope it goes away and you never smell it, something like that again. Uh-huh. About 20 minutes later, he did it again, and finally everybody's getting restless. Like, where the hell is this shit coming from? Literally. We have our waitress like calling people out. It was absolutely the most disgusting thing I've ever been a part of. But what was so funny was there was a couple sitting next to us, and we were all dying laughing. Like at that point, our whole table was talking about it, trying to pick out who it was. And we hear the guy ask his wife, he's like, did you fart? And we overheard it, and we started dying laughing. They ended up joining our table, and we had a 2-hour-long yuck about it. Really great people. But we had discussed before we hopped on here about some Girl Scouts cookies, getting back into that debate. And this guy bought 8 boxes of Girl Scout cookies for us to just nibble on while we were at the bar. So it worked out perfectly. So I want to hear your take. What do you got for me, Veech, on the Girl Scout cookie end?
Okay, so there's one take I've been sitting on for a while here. There's the common opinion, and it's tier 1A, S tier, whatever internet slang you want to use, is Thin Mints. You have to put them in the freezer. That's where they're elite. That's how they're meant to be eaten. I don't think there's many people that'll disagree with that unless you're a keep mint in the bathroom type person, which I get. Like some people just find it toothpaste. You're an idiot, but like I get that stance. The one that's not so popular and that people aren't going to like, Caramel Delights or Samoas, if you know them as that from when you're younger, they fucking suck. I hate those things.
You're an idiot.
And this is me saying that. If they're sitting in front of me, I'm still gonna eat them. Like they're a cookie. Obviously, I'm a big fat loser. Like it's gonna be munched down, no problem. It's just not gonna be my choice ever. It is just dried, crispy ass coconut that just gets stuck in your teeth. The caramel is not good caramel. It's disgusting. The chocolate is whatever. Like
it's just about the worst take I've ever.
It's a worse version of the Keebler cookies, and those are made as cheap as possible.
You're an idiot. I disagree completely. Caramel Delights hits my number 1 spot, and it's not close. They smack Thin Mints out of the fucking water, and Thin Mints is my 2. Thin Mints is my 2, and then I know Mace is big on the peanut butter ones, like the chocolate covered peanut butter ones. Mace, are those the ones you like? Yeah, those.
Yeah, ones, both of them.
Those ones are good. And then to me, like the lemonades, I saw these lemonades. Have you guys ever had those?
Oh yeah.
Do you guys think they're good?
I love them.
My mom loves them. Those are the ones with the white frosting on the bottom of them. Or is that something else?
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's like white or yellow frosting on the bottom. Yeah. And then it's like a lemon cookie on top. Yeah.
Yep.
I think those are great.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not here to like knock down. I'm pissed at Veech that he said caramel delights are ass. So I'm kind of pissed there. But to me, there's only 3 of them that I'll eat, and it's the caramel delights, the thin mints, and then the peanut butter chocolate covered, whatever those called.
I'm calling you out on that. That is total bullshit. I promise you, if somebody sets down Girl Scout s'mores in front of you, you're gonna munch those down. Like there's not that much that's wrong with them. Of course, you didn't grow up with them, so you're never gonna choose them, but you're gonna eat them.
I've never had them. I'm saying if I had a choice.
Correct.
You know, I've only had like 6 of them. I truly haven't tried all of them just because I kind of have an addictive personality. So if I get on the one, I'm just fucking hooked. Like I'm not touching any other one. That's probably why I like caramel delights, is because I haven't really tried any of the other ones. But thin mints are like, they'll never go old.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
And like it's simple. I took some from them. I stole a box from them. Put them in my freezer, and I've been munching on those. But
oh, dude, Thin Mints for me are equivalent, like in terms of a snack tier or a dessert tier, or whatever, however you eat them, to Oreos. Like if you put a box in front of me and like I'm just sitting there mindlessly watching TV, movie, or otherwise, I'm probably going to eat the whole box. Like there's just no stopping point to them, because you can just keep going perpetually. So you have to like portion it out. That's
Oreos for me. I probably said this story on this pod before, and I'm going to say it again right now. The first time I ever smoked the marijuana, I ate a full 3 rack of Oreos, the entire thing.
How?
That's impressive.
Like, I don't even know how many calories that is. I'd like to know how many calories that is, but I sat down in one sitting in like an hour's time, and I demolished all 3 rows of Oreos.
I mean, while we're on cookie talk, though, and specifically now that we're talking about Oreos, I have another not so popular opinion. The original Oreos are by far and away the best Oreos. People that like double stuff, like you don't like Oreos, you just like the cream filling, which is fine, but just admit what you are. Like that's not a cookie anymore. You're just getting cream with some cookie on the outside.
I don't know if I totally agree. I don't know if I totally agree with that. I think the double stuff is very, very good. I don't think that but all the other ones that they make are hideously bad. Like
I'll eat a birthday cake one. Again, I'm a fat kid at heart. Like you put a box of cookies in front of me, it doesn't usually matter what they are. I'm probably going to eat them. But you'd never going to catch me buying a box of the birthday cake or any of these other specialty cookie Oreos.
What about
just give me the OGs?
What about the golden Oreos? You guys not a fan of the golden Oreos?
I'm not.
No way. Are you?
I'm not.
I like those better than the regular Oreos, to be honest.
Those kind of remind me of the Girl Scout cookies. The fucking just the plain vanilla wafer. They just don't do it for me. I don't know if it's the vanilla or what it is. I'm a huge chocolate guy. Like when I was a kid, I used to have 4 scoops of ice cream and half a bowl of chocolate syrup. There's a reason I'm built like I'm built.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally fair. And everybody was ranting and raving about those new Oreos, like the most Oreo ever. It's like a cookies and cream Oreo with Oreo on the outside. Again, way too much cream. Those things are like an inch thick with the normal size cookie on the outside. You're paying for the cream there, which is the cheap part of the cookie. It's just like dry ass whipped cream at a different texture, consistency. And I don't know. Like call me a cookie truther or a cookie elitist. Give me the crunch. I'm a crunchy guy. I need it.
I do know the mega stuff is the worst thing I've ever had in my entire life.
Okay. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a reason they started where they did. They probably tested it on a bunch of people. Like, oh, how much cream do we need in there? They found the right amount, and that's what they released first. And then once they had a brand built after the best version of it was, had a nice stranglehold on the market. Then they branched out a little bit more and saw what limits they could take it to. And mega stuff is way too far.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, what do you guys think of like the Halloween Oreos or like the Easter Oreos? Because in my opinion, they taste better than the actual Oreos.
Better. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they're the exact same. They just have food coloring in them, don't they?
Is that what it is? Are they just colored like green or orange or something?
Yeah, it's like the filling is just colored.
I'm going to be honest. I've never had a single colored cream Oreo. I just stick with my regular, and I stick with my double stuff. Whatever's on the shelf, whatever I get to first, whatever mood I'm in. But I've never done the colored ones.
So thinking back then to mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Did you guys do regular mac and cheese or character mac?
See, this is a great question. You're asking a great person because I'm a diehard Kraft mac and cheese dinner. I go normal every single time.
Hell yeah, Trevor.
And don't get me wrong. I've had the shapes, and there is a time and a place for it. But you cannot beat the regular Kraft mac and cheese. You can't do it. I eat that full box in about a minute and a half, and it's the best thing in the entire world. Throw a little salt and pepper on there, a little Cholula, and it's gone immediately.
Absolutely. You've got the right answer. Everybody that has these shapes, textures, whatever take is absolutely wrong. They have no culinary expertise or experience.
Mace is pissed right now.
And tell you what, Mace, I'm going to drop this knowledge on you. You know why you want the same type of noodle over and over? As soon as you have more different shapes, those noodles cook at a different rate. You're going to get some mushy ones for the smaller ones, and you're going to get some harder al dente ones like you want it for the bigger ones that just take longer to cook. There's no uniform consistency to it. It is infuriating for anybody. And does it matter when you're eating mac and cheese? No. But does it drive me absolutely nuts? Yes. So yeah, I know it's like, again, a quirky fucking ADHD weirdo take, but give me the normal over shapes 10 out of 10 times.
I mean, do you guys like the Velveeta mac and cheese and the?
I mean, I'll have it every once in a while, but I'll definitely go Kraft for sure over anything else.
That's your top choice, right? Like Kraft.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yep.
The only reason I've been switching to Velveeta recently is just because it doesn't require milk, and I don't go to the grocery store enough to always have milk.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I also think you can taste the difference between the cheese sauce and the Velveeta, and even just like a regular Kraft. Like, I don't know. There's something just.
I would agree with that. I think that rumor of Kraft dinner shrinking your pee-pee, I think that's true. I think that was circulating a long time ago, and I'm living proof that doesn't help grow your wee-wee. So
I had not heard that rumor before, but I'm glad I know it now. So I've got something to blame it on.
I'm past the point of worrying. It's just like I'm just going to suck it up and deal with the consequences.
Oh, you've already locked down a fiance. Like your time to put out the feelers is done with. Like you can live your life now. And I'm going to further alienate myself from the rest of America here. I like to make my mac and cheese like slightly runnier than it says on the package. I don't follow those instructions anymore, whether it be more butter, more milk. It's usually more butter, if we're being completely honest. I want to be able to almost drink that extra cheese sauce, and it just adds something else to it at the very end. It's like slurping the milk up at the bottom of a cereal bowl. Yep. It just hits so much different. It's way better.
It does. It slaps. My fiance thinks it's an absolute sin that I do my mac and cheese runny, but it's so good.
It's so good.
I would agree with you on that.
I just can't believe you guys don't like the character mac. That was essential growing up.
It's not that I don't care for it. I would say that I just had the regular one more often than not. So when it went to shapes, it wasn't like bad, but I just liked the normal one better. And I don't know the reasoning behind that. I think it was just the consistency, like Veech said.
Yeah, it's like a surprise with every bite.
Oh.
Let me ask you this: were you guys hot dog in your mac and cheese?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I never was. I had them separate, but every once in a while people would throw it in there. Like if we're at a big event or you're making a mass batch of it or something, and I'd eat it. Like it's totally fine, but I want those two things separate because I enjoy hot dogs and I enjoy mac and cheese. But if I had my choice, I'm going to eat them totally separate.
I'm not going to have them in the same meal. That ruins my mac and cheese. It ruins my mac and cheese. I want my mac and cheese by itself, just me and the mac.
You want to hear something that's an absolute dirtbag move that my roommates in college used to do?
What, ketchup on your fucking mac and cheese?
Well, they did that too, but they would boil their hot dogs in water, and then they would use that same water to boil the noodles for their mac and cheese.
Die.
That's criminal.
Immediately die. Use hot dog water to boil.
Hey, they were from Baudette. They live that northern lifestyle. They just have, I'm just eating this for the calories. It's not for the flavor or taste. That was their whole motto. They would, at one point, they were just blending all their meals together in the first place to drink it. So, yeah. But I grew up, I didn't grow up with people doing that, but I lived with people doing that for 3 or 4 years. And, more power to them for being able to stomach that, but I couldn't do it.
That's a food sin. Shame on you for having friends like that. I'm looking down on you right now, Veech, for your friends. That's fucked.
Yeah, we would rotate every day. We would go back. We would walk past the stadium apartments at UMD, and we would go over to their house on the back road there. I can't remember what it was, and whoever got there first would get the pizza pizzazz and throw their frozen pizza on there. And whoever got there second was having mac and cheese that day. And it was just a constant switch of who's eating what. And we did that every single day for 2 years. So yeah, that's how they live.
Nope. Out. That's awful.
Yeah. That's insanity.
Yeah.
All right. Good little tangent. My Sunday was great. Super laid back. Pushed a nap back. I wanted to fall asleep at night. Ended up not being able to sleep at all. So my Monday's been a little tough, but it's good to be back in the saddle here. Missing our captain today though. So
definitely.
Let's dig into a little bit of the fun stuff brought to you by Butter Golf. Let's dig into some nail guns. What do you guys got for me?
I got 3 of them today, but I'm going to start with one that's a recurring guest on the nail gun segment, specifically for me. And again, I'm going to go out with the homer pick. I had to wear the collared shirt here with the UMD logo. Ryan Fanti, a triumphant return to the nail gun list here, gets a goalie goal in the ECHL just a couple days after, week after, whatever it was, an impressive goalie fight. So he's just racking up the impressive accolades for the Comets. And he looks good doing it. So I'm just going to sit here and criticize. I'm going to give out my one candy ass of the week to the Edmonton Oilers organization. You guys are idiot loser morons for not having this kid. He up at the big leagues there. They're wasting the talent of Draisaitl and McJesus. Like, just put all your star power on one team. He's a good enough goaltender. He's just as good as the guys that are sitting there. He's just more fun and has an offensive capability. So, candy ass to the Oilers, nail gun to Ryan Fanti. I will say it until the day I die. This kid is awesome. He's a good kid to be around, and I'm looking forward to the next highlight.
I respect it. You want to go 2 and 3 back to back, or you want to bounce around here?
I'll do another one really quick here before we get to the real sappy one that actually matters. Kent Johnson, he had one of the most silky Michigans I've ever seen. Columbus doesn't have a lot to root for right now, sitting damn near the bottom of the NHL standings. If they're not at the bottom, they might be at this point. I'm not sure. But the way that he just pulled this puck around, I think they were playing the Islanders. He had 2 defenders between him and the net. Pulled the puck around and didn't even bend over or lay the stick flat on the ice to pick it up. Just one motion, wrapped it around and put it top corner on the other side. The Michigan has never looked better. I don't know how a guy can do that. The physical talent and dexterity it takes to pull something like that off is mind-blowing to me. It's incomprehensible because the amount of times I've tried that is insane without half of the results. So shout out to him. Obviously, he's been putting in the time, and it's working for him, even though it's not working for the rest of that organization right now.
Fair enough. Respect that. Yeah, that's kind of like like the kids that are good at math, but they're not good at anything else. I feel like he's just nasty silk mitts, but he might be a rockhead. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's sick either way. You want to go your third, or Mace, you want to hop in here?
Yeah, if Mace has some, go ahead.
Yeah, I can. I'll throw in two quick ones and then I'll save a third one. So the first one, Reese Gaber coming back another year for his senior season. Dude could have signed for sure, but stuck around because he wanted the fellas and wanted to run it back another year. I love that. Excited to watch him play another year. That dude's a magician on the ice, and can't wait to see him next year. And then my second one, I'm gonna go with. I don't know if this happened last week or a week ago, but Vivian Jungles from the University of Wisconsin girls hockey team, instead of going and hopping on the dog pile right away, she skates over and helps one of her teammates who tore her Achilles in a pregame warm-up, and I just thought that was so nails. Like, I saw a video that Everything College Hockey posted, and I mean, hats off to Vivian. That was really cool to see.
Great call out. I know Perp was big on her when she was with the Edina Hornets. Said nothing but great things, in that video and story just kind of showed it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. My third one. So this Mexican restaurant, El Nuevo Mariachi, right on East Street in Uptown, and I mean, we're walking past it or like walking up to it, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like too crazy much from the outside, just a building with some lights in the windows, whatever. And you can kind of hear like some bass bumping on the outside. You're like, okay. So when we get in, and at first I was like, holy shit, this music is bumping right now. Like, they might want to turn it down like a notch or two. Well, it turns out it's karaoke, and there's like this 4'11" guy in a cowboy hat and a button-up shirt just singing his life away. And oh my god, it like the whole crowd was singing along and getting up and dancing, and then he'd come over to our table. And I mean, I went to Mexico, but I have no idea any Spanish, so all I could do is just cheers him and give him that. And oh god, it was one of the most electric restaurants I've ever been to. I will definitely be back soon, and that guy is my definite nail gun of the week. He did not care one bit. He had a great voice, and he was just letting it rip. So
was he belting out the American pop hits, or was he sitting there just singing Spanish, serenading the ladies?
Oh no, all Spanish songs. I saved one or two of them on my playlist, came back after that, and we just kind of got drunk listening to some Spanish tunes that night.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it was so electric. Like, we posted up for like 2-3 hours in that establishment and just got buckled. I mean, it was a great night and a great restaurant, and that guy's a nail gun.
What a great nail gun. I gotta check that spot out. I love me some Mexican food.
Oh, so damn good.
Yeah, that's on the list for sure. The last one I've got here is the Dodgers organization, and this may be an old story for people that follow baseball. I don't, so I get all the updates super late here. It seems like the 4th or 5th year in a row that they have re-signed Andrew Toles. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. To a contract, even though he's not playing for them anymore. It sounds like he's got some pretty tough mental issues going on right now. Got arrested in 2020 for trespassing or something else on the way there. So they keep re-signing him so he can have his league provided health insurance and everything else that goes with it to help battle all that stuff. So real kind of classy move by the Dodgers. You don't often hear about a lot of those moves. So when they do come up, I like to highlight it because seems like the right thing to do. I know the players organization kind of has that for people that have been in the league, but it's different for those that are still actively playing. So really happy to see he's getting the help that he needs out there, and props to the Dodgers for doing it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that was a story. I know that a lot of people struggle with some mental health stuff, especially post or even during. I mean, you see all the stories of people struggling with that stuff during their careers, after, and I know it's completely different health insurance. Even with once I got done with the East Coast, I mean, they gave you the opportunity to be on the same stuff, but it's expensive expensive, and so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I feel bad. I wish I would have gone before you. I was just going to go because that's just, I love those stories. I think that's sweet. But I'm just going to go with the Big Ten in general. On the first round of playoff hockey, absolutely taking a poop on anybody they came across.
Yep.
I mean, that's just straight disrespect. What did they have? 35 goals?
36-4, they outscored their opponents, and they set two goal differential records for the opening of regional round. So PSU beat Tech 8-0, so obviously an 8-goal differential set the record. And then just a couple hours later, when Michigan finished up their game, 11-1, so they've got a 10-goal differential to start out the season there. And again, it was a 1 versus a 1 seed winning their regional, so it wasn't unexpected, but to have a 10-goal differential is pretty insane in college hockey ever, let alone at this time of year. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely justified in calling them out. And to have all 4 of their teams win in that first round by that margin is nuts. They put on a show for sure.
Yeah, that just kind of leads into our talk here for the next few minutes. What kind of surprised you guys over the weekend? Obviously, picks weren't terrible. Everybody was kind of right at 500 or above. So, I mean, pretty decent. Why don't we start out that Denver Cornell game? What kind of surprised you guys?
Everything surprised me about that game. It seemed like Cornell got a good lucky bounce early. Not to say that all of their goals have been lucky, but they took advantage of it, and it just right place, right time. Same thing with their second one, really. The goalie was out of position looking for the wraparound or puck coming around the other side. It squirted out to the side of the net. He grabbed it and just kind of tucked it in around the corner there. And then they played Cornell hockey. I mean, they've done it all year long when they've had a lead. They just kill time, man. I mean, they're a big physical team, and Denver is built that same way too for the most part. But they weren't able to come back in anything. They weren't able to get the offensive zone going. The big red, whatever. Cornell was able to steer things away in the neutral zone, not allow them to have any sort of sustained possession. I think at the end, Denver had a couple of pretty key chances, but the goalie stood tall there, and it was an impressive showing from an ECAC school who I didn't have a ton of hopes for. Again, they lost to UMD 2 games in a row to start their season, but they finished strong, and I was impressed, to say the least.
Yeah, it just seemed like they were playing keep away after they got those first 2 goals in. I mean, and that's what, I mean, against Denver, I was just impressed. It didn't seem like Denver was winning any puck races. They seemed slower than Cornell. It's just, they didn't seem like they wanted it, but.
Yeah, Cornell, I knew that's how they kind of played hockey. They're kind of like Duluth in that way, where if Duluth gets up early, it is very, very hard to. But, if Denver were to come out to a 2-0, it would have been a completely different game, obviously.
100%. Denver has not been in a position where they have to come back very many times this year. But again, like to your point, Duluth, when they had an early quick lead on Denver, they were able to hold on to it, and Denver couldn't come back. That game ended 6-5, so it's not like Duluth was able to shut them out. But Cornell's goalie was significantly better. I think Ian Shane was, one of the Richter candidates at one point this year. I don't think he's in the running at the very end there, but still, like, he's no slouch by any means. And so finding ways to get goals past him are much more difficult, especially, again, like we said, at this time when things are a little bit tighter and harder to get around. But yeah, I mean, they held out, and obviously didn't go so well the second night for them, but that first game was great.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good hockey game. What surprised you more, the Cornell win or the Ohio State blowout over Harvard?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say the Ohio State blowout was a bigger surprise, just because it was a much bigger goal differential there. I don't know how Harvard can think of this season as anything other than a failure. And that's crazy to say when you make the tournament. But when you have that many draft picks and you've got like crazy high expectations, they finished in the top 10, like you're the higher or second seed in that regional. It's tough to go out on that note. And again, it's probably recency bias with how it is ending there. But you didn't see any of those stars putting in the effort in that game. And it was kind of shocking to see that. I mean, they were deflated quickly. There wasn't more than, I think, 10 minutes in this game where I thought it was even going to be close at the end. So that's where I thought it was a surprise. And I picked him to go to the Final Four, Frozen Four. I just thought that they would be able to figure it out and play a cohesive hockey game. And frankly, they just didn't. Maybe they can, but they didn't.
Yeah, I would agree. I think everything else was kind of, I guess Penn State against Michigan Tech kind of, I picked Penn State, but that's kind of throwing a dart at the wall, right? Like,
yep.
It was either Michigan Tech was either their goalie was going to carry them, or Penn State just overpowered them. It was
that their goalie carried them through a lot of games this year, and they put him in a real tough position in a lot of these goals that they gave up. I think he probably should have had one or two of those, but once you had let the first couple in, it's pretty tough to have that mental capacity to bounce back quick. And they were pretty high scoring percentage shots anyway, too. But yeah, that one was pretty tough. Everything else was relatively close or expected. The other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, and maybe we can get into a little bit later too, is, starting off the tournament, the first goal that ended up not being a goal, the Western one against BU that got waved off, was absolutely the incorrect call by everybody's opinion, except for one person I saw online who is formerly employed by BU. So I wonder why he's got that opinion. But the puck was not frozen. It was behind the heel of his glove, the goaltender there. And, that's free for anybody to whack at. And it obviously wasn't frozen at any point before that. They're talking about him pushing the pad in, but the puck was already sliding through his 5-hole by then. It wasn't any contact with the pad that made the puck go in. I have no clue how they were able to overturn that, because they called it a goal on the ice. So they had to find enough evidence to overturn it. And so if it's inconclusive, I don't know how you can overturn it, let alone it being as obvious as it was. So that put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth to start the tournament off, which was tough. And it was even tougher because I had talked about and picked the over in that game for a bet. And so I missed that by that one goal. So I'm still pretty salty about it. And that might have a little bit to do why I think that was a difference maker in that game, despite how lopsided the score was at the end.
It just deflated Western, right?
Yeah.
Like, you come out, you score a goal. I get that completely. It's tough. It's tough to find that gear again. And then BU kind of, scored a couple, and then it was chase mode, and they just didn't really have it. I remember texting Mace during the game, and it just seemed like Western was just slow and not into it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that goal getting called off wasn't a reason why, Yeah,
and it was crazy too, because Poland tied the goal record. He got 30 goals, his 30th goal of the season in that game there, swatted it out of midair on a little bit of 2-on-1 break, and it was an impressive goal. And I thought that would have been like a little bit of a turnaround. And they hit two pipes really, really hard. One was before that, and they hit a crossbar after that. Like, they had good scoring opportunities, just bounces weren't going their way. And all of that kind of added up. I think it goes to what you had said there, them not having that extra gear in winning those races to pucks, and that led to other opportunities. And their defensive structure was not great for the last couple of goals there either. So it's really tough to defend them on that part. But you wonder if some of the other things kind of led to that as well, where you're not putting in as much effort as you might have had it been a closer game.
It also seemed like they just weren't playing the body like Western usually does. Like, they're a gritty team, they're a grinding team, and I don't know. I didn't see a lot of big hits. Didn't see a lot of. I don't know. I didn't.
I would agree with that, Mace. I think that the narrative, especially for the past 5 years, was Western they were skilled and they had goal scorers, but they were meat and potatoes. I think that's kind of changing a bit. They've got a lot of skilled guys in there, which is awesome. Yep. But against a BU team like that, those small defensemen, they had their way with them. It was just like they had the puck the entire game. There was nobody on them. It seemed off for Western.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they reload again next year. I think Max Sasson has already signed. I think Poland was talking about signing somewhere. So when you're losing your two top scorers, who were two of the top scorers in the nation for the second year in a row, it's kind of crazy to be able to reload in that capacity, but they've done it before. So it will be very, very curious, or I'll be very, very curious as to how that goes for them in the upcoming year as well.
Do you think the plans with their new barn is going to help at all? At least keep them alive for?
I I think so. I mean, I think the NCHC is always going to be alive. You know, although saying that, you know, teams like Miami and you know, has struggled. Colorado College finally had what seemed like a good year, and they lost a bunch of guys in the portal. So
Yep.
I don't know. Western always kind of has that identity. We kind of have a boner for them over here on the has-beens, at least Gage and I do. So I hope you get back to their roots.
Yeah, the only hesitation that I've got is how much energy do you lose leaving Lawson Arena with fans right up on the glass, piled right next to you, and you just hearing that roar. It's not the biggest barn. Obviously, it doesn't pack as many people in there, but the fans that they do have are absolutely crazy, and they're in your face the entire game. And I wonder if that changes in the new spot.
It is curious. I'm always curious as to why, you know, the way the Amsoil's built is awesome, but it drives me nuts that those fans are behind the plexi back there. Like they're loud and stuff, but it kind of muffles. I mean, it hits that plexi and goes back. You can't really hear them on the ice.
Agreed.
But obviously they can't really change that now. They're not going to move seats, you know, move the elderly over to the bench over there and, you know, have students in the bowl or whatever it might be. But the Lawson Lunatics, they're their own beast. And if they lose that, I can't imagine. I would have to assume that they took that into account. Like how do we make sure the fan stays in it? But
fingers crossed. And I didn't see, or I guess I didn't read yet, if the new rink was going to be on campus or off campus. But being that I think it's a general facilities building that goes to the entire city of Kalamazoo for the most part, but primary focus on hockey, it would be off campus, which would make it quite a bit more difficult for them to make it to games, especially in the winter. And that's my biggest beef with the Amsoil. I know there's not a ton of real estate in Duluth, at least not anymore, for that rink to be built anywhere near on campus. And it's used for so many different things throughout the year. I understand why they put it where they did, but it does make it a much different atmosphere on those game days where it's, you know, we're going to either have to walk there or Uber there or, you know, catch one of the 2 buses that goes down there. And if you miss them, you're kind of SOL. Where I think you've got a much bigger advantage if you do have it on campus. Like Mariucci has been great this year. And I think part of that is because 1, the buzz has been awesome for the team, but 2, because the buzz has been awesome, you're getting people on campus and it's a 5-minute walk. Like, let's just go show up and fill this place. Yeah. If you have to find ways to get there, it makes it so much more difficult. So it's something to keep an eye on for sure, but they're crazy about hockey out there. So I think they'll be fine.
Another thing I was like, another nail gun, I guess, is Michigan Tech. And I think it was called like the Mitch's Misfits or something, their student section or whatever. Mm-hmm. They flew out or bussed out like 98 students.
Yeah. The alumni helped pay for the bus trip or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool.
Like, that's sick. I don't know. I don't know. I saw it and I was like, I would have loved that when I was at UND if we got bussed out as fans or something. But
yeah, I rag on them a lot. I think I call them the most annoying fan base in all of college hockey. It has a lot to do with the way that they do the penalty kill power play now and the flags, the horns. Like, they bring their band or at least a couple of their instruments everywhere. It's kind of crazy to me, but they're passionate. Like, they're a great fan base as much as like it is annoying as an opposing fan base to see them there. You just have to admire the amount of dedication they put into it. So yeah, I mean, it's a great thing that their alumni association does. And I mean, it's a good hockey town. You really can't deny it. They're always around and relevant. They might not be the best team in college hockey, but they've got a lot of support up in that community.
For sure. Well, I'm excited for the Frozen Four. Obviously the 4 best teams made it. I know they're the 4 best because I picked all 4 of them to go. 4-0.
Well, 4 of the top 5 anyway, too. I mean, the last time that happened is quite a while ago, if I remember right. So it's on paper going to be a great tournament, and I think everybody has seen the high caliber offense that you can see out of both Minnesota and Michigan, as well as some of the guys on BU. Then you've got the goaltending and defense of Quinnipiac, so it'll be good. Both of those games, or all 3 of those games, are bound to be classics.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking the fact that regionals were so lopsided, the Frozen Four is just going to be that much more competitive. Like, teams are good.
So. I think so, too. I think it'll be great. We'll dig into those predictions next week with Gage when he hops back on with us. I should have mentioned earlier, we do have a guest today. It is Shay Donovan, a Duluth boy, so we're excited to have him on, chat a little glue guy type stuff on the has-beens this week, and we'll dive into that interview with Shay Donovan right now. All right, welcome back. We have Shay Donovan on the line, University of Wisco. Madison, obviously great spot to play. We'll dig into that a little later on, but let's talk a little Duluth. Growing up, what was your family's lifestyle? What kind of got you into hockey and things like that?
I mean, probably as well as anyone. You got the outdoor rinks in Duluth, one of the last communities that does the outdoor rinks. And I was a Lester Park Bulldog. That rink's folded.
Yeah, like many others.
Yeah, like a lot of other ones. But we had an outdoor rink. My dad always loved to play. He never really had the chance to play organized hockey. So for him, it wasn't like maybe the abusive dad, like, I didn't get to live my dream, so you better live my dream. He just was always happy. Me and my brother, we would have been happy playing on the outdoor rinks our whole life, but we were lucky enough to play past that. Growing up, I had guys like Trevor and Randolph and that whole line that I'm sure you guys have heard all about. We always just looked up to those guys, and if we could have, when you're in Pee Wees, all I wanted to do was play Bantams. And in Bantams, you just high school's you don't even dream past high school. Really, right. You think UMD Bulldogs are gods, and you'll never actually make it there. And then a few years go by, and you want to run them through the board. So it's kind of funny how that works.
Oh yeah.
But that's just the same route as most kids in northern Minnesota probably, and we all probably had the same dream when we were 5, 6, and some guys were lucky enough to keep moving.
Isn't that crazy that in northern Minnesota, I didn't know what junior hockey was until I was a junior or senior in high school. We thought,
no idea.
We thought it was high school, straight into college, straight to the NHL.
No idea. I have a vivid memory of the first time I got to skate with your team, Trevor, and it was you had Valasson and all those guys out there, and I was just so damn scared. And that was when Randolph if you messed up one drill, it's one strike policy, the bench. Yeah. And he just pointed the bench. Just sit there, and I was just gripping my stick so hard. As an 8th grader, these guys are the NHL. These guys are incredible. And obviously part of that's attributed to my dad. And my dad, again, was just so impressed. He's been so impressed with everyone I've ever played with. So he's just the fact you're even on the ice with those guys today is incredible. But then,
that's going to be pretty refreshing, though, doesn't it?
No, yeah. Some guys that I play with have the complete opposite upbringing, and I think, maybe it's helped them. I don't know. I think that just hurts you. I feel bad for some kids that I play with that where it feels like their dad is, just kind of beating it into them, and maybe it takes some love out of the game. But for us, it was so easy to love the game because, there were some sessions in the garage where he whips out those stick and shows you how to box out when you're 7 years old. But other than that, it was always really easy to love the game because he just loved, my parents just loved watching us play at any level. And so it made it really easy. It was never you need to do this, you need to whatever. And if that was like that growing up, I would have just played golf and been I hate this.
Right.
But it was always easy to love hockey, and I'm pretty fortunate for that.
I bet you, it helped having a brother near the same age. Growing up, you guys could go to the rink together, do all that stuff together. I'm sure that, eased you into it as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just friends too. I never had a friend group of these are my friends, these are my close group. We just had we were 2 years apart, so pretty much anyone in a 4 or 5 year range was just our buddies.
Yeah.
So when we go back to Duluth, is you just have so many buddies you can lean on. It's not you had your 3-4 tight knit group was all your age. We were pretty spread out, which was really nice.
And I feel like you got to talk about that hockey, is it boot hockey tournament that you guys have in the backyard, or what is that whole spiel?
Well, it might have to be boot hockey if it ever happens again. But no, it's just something I came up with. I think my freshman year. Yeah, the River Bandit Cup. Because you go off to college and guys go to juniors, you just don't really see your high school buddies anymore. And you play with the high school buddies your whole life, so you just want to find a way to connect with them when you go home in ways that aren't just let's reef it, but you want to do something with all the guys. And I think our freshman year, I really missed all those guys. We just put them in a group chat. And we're like, we're just gonna play. And a lot of guys, even if they've been washed up for 4 years, still think they got it. They still think they got the pause. But I mean, you just a little 3-on-3 tournament out there. It's like a perfect 3-on-3, 4-on-4 rank that my dad has made my whole life. And we got the shooter tutors out there, and honestly, guys were flying around. We did it that year, all good. No, actually, not good. Luke Lemaster tore his ACL.
Oh no!
Yeah, so he was coming back from. He plays Wisconsin now with us, the Hound, as you guys know. But he coming back from his I think his right ACL, coming back, got cleared for like 10 days, played like one USHL game, plays in this River Bandit, just goes to pivot and just super innocent play.
Oh no!
And just popped his other one, and then missed another year. So
that's tough.
Yeah, that is really tough. But then my dad threatened to kill us all, and he's like, "You guys will never play again." Next year we played.
Yeah,
but
kids will be kids.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting tough. It's getting tougher now. Guys aren't like that. It was really easy when all guys were in college. It's getting tougher now, and people got to work and stuff. But I hope to get at least 1 more, 2 more, or maybe we just start filling the roster with guys that can play, just anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good way to keep in touch with the boys.
Yeah. So let's dig in a little bit. Obviously, you said you had a dream growing up. Everybody kind of does in northern Minnesota. When was it kind of like, okay, I want to chase this a little bit? Like, when was that realization that you could, play at the next level and possibly college?
I think probably one of those stupid pre-draft camps, or the main USHL main camp.
Yeah.
I think I went to a Lancers main camp, and honestly, I didn't even know what that league was. Like you said, I was just worried about making the tourney because I was gonna get bullied in the hallway in high school if our team didn't make the tourney. So that's all I was thinking about. But I went to one of those and did really well. Got a couple looks or so what. Then I started thinking okay, maybe I'm better at this than I thought, and then had a pretty good high school year. And then after that, I in high school yearbook, you have to say what your plans are. And I was like, go play junior hockey. and then it's like a gamble from there. But I went to Fargo right away after high school. Got the shears pretty quick, and then after that, it was just kind of sticking with it and I'm going to stay here as long as it takes until I get to go to a school.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Yeah. Go ahead, Veech.
I was just going to say, what was the difference from organization to organization, between the Minnesota Wilderness, who people here might be familiar with? I think most people I know have been to at least a game or 2 of those, versus Wilkes-Barre.
Well,
the difference between those two is crazy.
I could probably do an hour and a half on the Minnesota Wilderness in the 4 games I played. Actually, 5 games I played. They took one off my elite prospects because I had an assist in it, and they hated me so much they took it off. They took it off my elite prospects. Not kidding.
Oh, I would dispute so fast, Shay.
Yeah.
I'm getting that point on my DB.
Yeah. God, I wish. No, but Cooley Region was I got cut from Fargo, and I just didn't even know what that was. I had no idea. I got cut from Fargo, and the Manal draft had happened a few months earlier, and I got a call 2 days after the draft. We took you in the 7th round or whatever. And I was like, oh, sweet. U show. I'm never going to play for you guys. I got the U show fall classic Insta and think I'm sick. I'm never going to play for bum ass Cooley Region. But then I went there, and anyone who gets sent down to the Null, you're just disgruntled for 3 days. Yeah. You think you're the man. You think you're better than everyone there. There's 21-year-olds and you're 18. Yeah. I thought I was the man, but 2 weeks into there, was such a baby about it. I was like, Mom, I can't do this. I need to go to the wilderness. I need to go home right now. And then I just ended up loving it. Really, I had some of the best, like, fondest memories of my life in Cooley. I got fitting really well there. I think I actually had a pretty good year. But then I kind of started talking with the wilderness coach, and he thought that I would be a good fit to come home. So I was like, I like Cooley, but I think it's time to go home and might as well be at home with some of my high school buddies. Can live the dream a little longer, but it was the worst thing ever. And I doubt Tim Madsen is a subscriber. Maybe he'll see my name and hop on here just to bully me one last time. But if I ever see that guy again, I think we might have to fight it out. Guy sucked.
I feel like every hockey player's kind of had. Well, I would say 90% of hockey players have come across a situation like that. There's that.
Just the one coach that just pretty much tormented them into, like, he tormented, to put it in perspective, he tormented me so bad that I hopped on a plane to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and said, "This is it." Yeah. I was like, "I'll go anywhere, like literally anywhere." So that's kind of where I went. And then Scranton, I knew it was my last stop. Like, I knew it was my last strike. I mean, you can't be traded more than twice. I traded myself twice, though, and didn't get traded. But I traded myself twice. And I'm like, you can't have like a elite prospects of 4 or 5 teams and expect to go D1. So I knew it was my last stop. So I went in with a really good perspective there, worked really hard. And, like, I never took a day for granted there, even though it was tough. Like, Wilderness has fans. Cooley kind of has fans on, like, the promotion nights. Wilderness is like a really good organization, top to bottom. Scranton was owned by DeNaples, who plays at Penn State. And it was kind of just like a breeding ground. Like, he didn't care about, like, promotions, fans, like, money. Yeah. So it was just kind of different. Like, he wanted it so his kid and his friends could, like, get to the next level, and they all did. So he wasn't really invested in, like, the, like, junior experience, which is fine, whatever. It got me to where I wanted to be. But if I hadn't had those 2 prior perspectives, I think I would have probably phoned it in. But thankful that I stuck with it, obviously, and gave Scranton all I had.
Speaking of the junior experience, like, I know for me, I fucking struggled a little bit being away from home, just because playing hockey in Pee Wee's Bantams high school, you're with the same crew for 7-8 years. And then you go to juniors and you love hockey, but it's completely different. Like, how was that transition for you, living with a different family, all that stuff?
I was really lucky in my first couple billet houses. I had, like, a really good support system there. I still keep in touch with a couple of them. The one in Fargo was, like, diehard North Dakota fans. I'm sure they have pictures of you hanging up around there. I remember Corbin Knight was like, I thought Corbin Knight, like, they were worshiping a false god, like a false prophet. His picture was everywhere in the house.
Corbin Knight was a freak. That guy was a freak.
Yeah, he was. But they were awesome. Scranton, I mean, I was able to have friends over. That's, like, a huge part of it, I think, in junior hockey. You need to be able to hang out with the boys. You can't make it feel like you're, like, So I was always able to have friends over and stuff. And then by the time I got to Scranton, lucky me, I lived with 3 guys within a 8-foot radius. They stuffed 3 of us in, like, one bedroom. So I was like, oh, well, I'm always going to be with the boys, I guess. I might as well get used to it. Yeah. So I always was super lucky in my experience. Some guys have really horror stories. I could, like, act like mine were bad. I had a few billets that, like, I was kind of the guy initially at most places where, like, if a better place opened up, I'm snagging it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, Scranton was my last stop. It was my last strike. So I had to wade into it and take it for what it was. And I couldn't bitch, which sucks. Yeah. I love to bitch.
I wanted to fucking bitch really bad, but I just did.
So, yeah.
So what, bring us into the whole University of Wisconsin. What brought you there, besides the bars and the women and all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know about that till I got here. So that was a nice surprise, really.
Yeah.
I think my brother was obviously committed. He had committed here right before. So that was, like, a big thing. Probably the reason why I got, like, the looks that I did from here. But I was kind of getting down to, like, my last year in juniors. Like I said, I was hungry. I probably would have gone anywhere. I think like my first 2 years, I convinced myself I could do a military academy. And like, oh, I could go to Fairbanks. Looking back now, there's no way in hell I would have done it. Like I would have been able to do it. But like, if that's all you know, and it's like, if it's, you know, you take it. But I jumped all over like Wisconsin. Like started talking to me like last couple of weeks, last few months of juniors or whatever, and kept playing, and I thought I was going to have like my moment at an all top prospects, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Like all the schools are there. You're like in a locker room. Everyone just feeding the same BS the whole week. Like, oh, I've been talking to whatever. Oh yeah, how are you? Well, we'll see when you get pulled out of the locker room. We'll see how much they want you. Yeah. And then like, so I was like, oh well, the last game of prospects coming, so all the schools come and talk to you or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. Time. I haven't said anything all week, because I don't want to like be that guy that doesn't have to live up. I'm like, all right, well, Wisconsin's going to call me out in the hallway here, and we're just going to dick on everyone in the locker room. They're like, all right, Shay, you hear my name called, they kind of strut over there, and then I get outside in the hallway, and it's like the worst D3 school of all time. Like, not to like, chirp them, but I can't remember this school. I still have the voicemails. There's like Coach McCauley. It was some tiny, tiny D3 school, like first year, second year team. And my heart just ripped out of my sock. Like everyone on the team walks out and just walks right by me talking to this guy, and they're like, "You bum." I just like went back to the locker room. I was so devastated. I was just like, "Oh man!" Unlaced my skates. Didn't talk to anyone for a few more days, and then of course Wisconsin called me, and then I ended up committing like pretty much right after that. But they called me and they're like, "Oh, we saw on TV." I was like, "Well, thanks for being there, guys. Damn it."
Yeah,
we saw the real you there on the team.
Yeah, I needed this one. But I never actually played a game in juniors committed, which sucks too.
Well, you got to.
I would have loved, you know, I got charged so much in juniors that I just would have loved to have my moment, but I never got it.
How many of the young guys gave you the who are you or even committed that type shit?
Yeah, I mean, every time it's like, oh, you fossil, nice, have fun playing D3 or something. In the back of your mind, you're like, fuck, this kid might be right. But you just like you have to just like jack him next time he comes to the net or something.
Oh yeah, automatic.
But, yeah, it's always the young kid, and like every kid I play with, I think it was always the first year guys were like, oh, I would never age out, and it's like, all right, man, well, we'll see you. Every single kid that ever said that aged out. So yeah, nice. You learn the hard way.
Nothing wrong with aging out, brother.
Nothing wrong with it.
So you get to campus. You know, what are your expectations? Like going in, you know, what have they told you? What are you expecting? You know, obviously your dream is to be a consistent guy. You know, what was that whole process like?
Well, I was going my freshman year. I was like walking into probably the most stacked decor we had while we were here. I mean, the roster from that year was insane. We had 5 drafted defensemen, and the 6th one was a guy who should have been drafted for sure. And so I was kind of like, oh boy. Like the 7th D, who didn't really play any games the year before, was like a USHL guy for 2 years. So I knew I was going to be a depth guy for sure that year. And I think the whole process of it all was like that we wanted to build you into like a PK guy junior, senior year. This is where we see it. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I can play against these guys in practice every day. And at the time, I think my freshman class was like, I mean, it was a pretty special freshman class. Like everyone in the freshman class was drafted pretty high besides me and Vorlicki, but Vorlicki should have been drafted. So there was a lot of pressure in that way. But, I mean, I was honestly scared. Like you said, those young guys that just go around chirping you the whole game. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm coming in with 5 of them.
Yeah,
like 3 NTDP guys. And lucky for me, they they needed to kind of take me in because I was the only not true freshman. And lucky for me, they did that instantly, and we were just tight from day one. Like, they're still some of my best friends. We're still in group chats together, and they really helped me get acclimated. And honestly, I wouldn't even – like, I was scared to skate with them at first because I was like, these guys – you see them the first day, and you have, like, Turcotte and Caulfield, like, on, like, these stick-handling aids. And I, like, honestly haven't seen a stick-handling aid, I don't think, in my life. Definitely not with Hall. Definitely not with Randolph in high school. He would have shot that thing in the stands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, oh boy, like this is day one. But I skated a lot that year. I just tried to really get like acclimated, and I think I took like pretty big strides. I mean, it's impossible to not take big strides as a player when you're skating with that good of talent every day in practice. Otherwise, you just get embarrassed and want to quit. Like, you pretty much have to rise or you're not going to love it. So each year, kind of just, getting used to it, and was able to chisel out a little bit of a role for myself on the ice, and definitely one off the ice maybe sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, those guys are needed. The glue guys are needed. It's a tough role, but I mean, the guys that actually buy into it, everybody says that I was a glue guy, but I'm not going to lie to you. I was fucking rattled sometimes with my role and not being the go-to guy. It's kind of tough sometimes. So being able to buy into that and really just like gaining your teammates' trust, just showing that you're a good teammate, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, the guys make it pretty easy on you. Like, it's not like they treat you like maybe a pro or something, but like, those guys are my best friends. They never cared. Yeah. They knew that. I mean, it's hard to believe though. Sometimes I remember like a lot of, especially my first 2 years, and I think that was something I had to learn, is that you just kind of got to let it. Like, I was always just beating myself up at first, because I'm like, God, these guys are just buzzing, and I'm not really doing much. But you just kind of like got to let that part of you go and stick with it, and realize that you might actually be helping the team. I remember some conversations with Tony Granado that he'd pull me in and be like, you're the most important player on this team. And I'm like, okay, shut up. I'm not. Like, this is the worst thing to hear from you. Like, you treat me like I'm whatever, but I'm not saying that I was at any point. But I think as you kind of mature and grow up a little bit, you start realizing that the guys that, like, if I were to just be a huge cancer, I'd be the worst influence ever. But when guys can see guys that aren't having it bounce their way, and they're still really good guys and bringing good energy to the locker room, I think it rises the whole locker room. So something I kind of learned and picked up on, but it's something you have to figure out as you go.
For sure. Talking about Madison in particular, just as a college town, did it live up to all the hype that everybody in the area kind of makes it out to be? Because all my friends and everybody else just talks about Madison like it was the scene of Animal House, like where that was shot, and it's as crazy as everybody thinks it is, or is it a little bit more tamed down and close?
No, it's what you want it to be, really. I mean, you can hide in your room, and during the season, you obviously have to, like, you got to keep it on the down low, whatever. But when you get a green light, you can make it as crazy as you want, really. But I don't want to make it seem like there's some recruit, some absolute bum. I don't want to drop his name, but he like, his reasoning for not committing here was like, oh, they don't focus on hockey, they just care about drinking. Like, sweet. I guarantee you, Lake State, those UP schools are drinking just as much, if not more, because they're just doing it in their house or, at some dive bar or whatever. Yeah. I'm sure that, like, ASU, they probably throw the same accusations at them, like, oh, it's just a party school, whatever. Like, everyone on our team, like, loves hockey. It's hockey first, whatever. But, I mean, when you have a green light, it's just a lot. You can make it as fun as you want. But I don't want the culture of it to be like, oh, those guys are just a bunch of, party animals. I mean, we're hockey guys. You could put a hockey guy, they do. You can put them in Fairbanks. They do the same thing. Just not surrounded by good-looking people.
Here's a I can't think of the word right now, but bottom line is this: every school is the exact same.
Yeah,
I mean, there
are
guys
different.
There are guys that take it seriously and don't drink as much, and that's great. More to you, more power to you. But the bottom line is 99.9% of the schools, if they get a green light, it's absolute go time, because there's not many green lights in a season. So
100%, and that's like, I mean, we have friends everywhere in the league. Like, you'd be like, oh, they're out doing stuff tonight. It's like, oh, some teams it's a little weird. Like, I'll be honest, some guys on a couple teams have seen stuff and I'm like, damn, really? But and they could probably say that about us too. But I mean, it's no matter where you go, it's hockey first and whatever, and then off season, you get it's just maybe it's just some guys get their friends to actually come visit them because their school's fun, and
Right.
we've had a full couch more times than not in the off season.
Yeah,
I mean, if we could get you guys down here for a weekend, we could show you a little something. But
Yeah, we might have to go live show at the KK.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to outfit this apartment into looking like one.
Yeah. Love it.
Nice. I think Madison's in like a unique spot in the country where you're still close enough to where there's a high value on hockey in Minnesota and the northern Midwest states and things like that. But you're far enough south where you can have a little bit more fun a little bit further in the year. Like I saw a video, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or not, the video of you guys all rollerblading to and from the arena for practice. It was making its rounds, and you can still get a little bit more close-knit with your guys. Just having that outdoor time where you're not all kind of finding your own rides places. So does that help build you guys a little bit more than you think some other schools that live in colder areas have to?
Yeah, for sure. We have like we have a patio here. We actually we don't have a hockey house. So we were always jealous of teams like you guys who have like a hockey house, So we kind of all rented out like a same apartment complex, first floor, and kind of made it like a hockey house. I mean, we got like 6 patios, so it's like kind of stretches around. So we got a lot of real estate. So that helps. I mean, anytime there's nice weather, game days and everything, you can obviously all be hanging out. I think like a huge advantage that we have over other schools is that we can walk everywhere. No one on the team drives anywhere. We walk to class, you walk to the rink, you walk to the bars. Like everyone always does everything together because like you don't need to text anyone to be like, hey, can I come over? And you drive over. I don't know if that's what happens, but in juniors it was like that. But like our first door patio, like our door's a revolving door of guys just coming in on their way home from class. Like sometimes it's almost probably like a negative. It's like they're just stopping in here to like loot my food on the way home. But I mean, we're a really tight knit group, and it's because of the campus setup, obviously. Sure. And I think the biggest shocker about this place is something that I didn't expect is like the people that actually go here. I don't know if like it's a lot of New York and LA people. So it's like a lot of coast people really, and you don't really expect that. No. So like the culture around here kind of gets into that. Most of the guys I probably like hate are probably from those 2 areas, but I mean that's just like kind of it's just really surprising. I thought it was honestly going to be like Wisconsin, like farm like everyone.
No.
But everyone, I think, from the coast, they'll tell you like they sell their parents on like the like academic side of it because it is kind of a hard school to get into. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for hockey. Probably wouldn't have a hockey team. But like, I mean, they like see the Instagram videos of people doing backflips off of houses at Mifflin and stuff. So they can convince their parents with that and then come here for the real reason probably. Yeah. They all like, I don't even know what majors they take. Yeah.
Communications and business.
Yeah.
Something worse than mine probably. Yeah. And mine's not even cool.
Let's dig into the nitty gritty a bit. I've heard nothing but great things about Tony Granato. I've heard that he's a fantastic coach. Obviously, Wisconsin had a few down years from what they're used to. I mean, it's been a while since they've been that way. What kind of went on with your guys' team? You guys had some great weekends. You guys had some down weekends. What was kind of the overall feel in your 4 years? Obviously, you guys were a tight-knit group. What was kind of the issue, if there were any issues with?
Yeah, that's like the worst part. You say tight-knit group. Last year might have been the best locker room, like of guys. You couldn't build a better locker room of guys last year, and we had 10 wins. It's like it just doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't actually add up, Like maybe some of the better teams I played on, like a couple guys hated other guys on the team, but last year we were just so tight knit. So it's really it's honestly more frustrating when that happens because you're sitting there after getting swept like the 3rd time in a row, and you're like, what the fuck, guys? Like we love each other, but like for some reason we go out there and like I don't even know. So that was a really frustrating year, especially when every year it feels like we had the talent to do it. I don't know if we've ever had less than like 10 draft picks, really.
No, I mean, Wisconsin's always top of the talent pool.
Yeah. For sure. So I think if it, like probably the common consensus of like viewers and everything is that we've always just been maybe too young, and then we throw young guys into the fire. Where like you see with NCHC schools, and like obviously Minnesota, Michigan are doing it this year with young guys, whatever. But I think the NCHC, I think it's with the Bulldogs, like a lot of guys, they have to come in real young, and they don't really get any opportunity. They get opportunity, but like it feels like they have to chip away at it a little bit, give the older guys a little bit more of a role, and then they chip away at it. And I think that's a really good way. I think some guys, they would come in really highly touted, and things wouldn't go the way they were going for them. So then they would kind of they'd be on first power play and get taken away, and then they'd be disgruntled a little bit because, I think you just got to start guys off a little lower and maybe push them forward. And that and being a little older would help too.
Earn their stripes a little bit. Like you come in, you're going to play on the second line, but you're going to be on second power play and we'll see how it goes type of thing rather than first line, first power play.
Yeah. I think that, like, I'm not saying that's a problem, but you see the teams that have success with guys that a lot of guys in the Big Ten like us look at and like, how the hell are they winning with those guys? And that's kind of like, they have that older guy mentality of like, this guy was kind of a role guy. And then you kind of learn both ways, you learn how to be a role guy, and then you're just happy as hell when you get your chances when you're a little older. So obviously you can't do that with guys like Caulfield and stuff. You need to feed them right day one. So it's really tough from a coaching perspective. I don't really know. And that's probably a really frustrating thing for him too, is like what went wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could tell you if we didn't get shoved in Bridgeport with no fans and the worst ice you've ever seen in college hockey, we probably make it out of that region our sophomore year, and then maybe he's still around. That's the thing that I always think about is kind of how fucked we got there going to that hellhole. But
but based on everything I saw, the ice wasn't much better this year, and there was some controversy.
No.
They chose not to freeze the pucks, and so they were bouncing all over the place as well. And so it seems like it's just a nightmare of how it's run up there.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, that was just frustrating for us. And it's like, you have that good of a year. It's a COVID year already. Not to like relish on sophomore year, but the Kohl Center, like I'm so jealous of whoever gets the Kohl Center back and gets that thing rocking. Like we would have had that place packed out. And like Mariucci's back now. And Mariucci, when they score, it feels like the ice is at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Now. So it's just like whoever gets the Kohl Center back to what it can be, like that is, they're gonna be the man on campus, that's for sure.
That's a great point. I mean, fans obviously play a huge part in it, and when things aren't going well, the players feel it. Even though you want to give your fucking all, it's like, well, nobody's here to like fucking root us on. It fucking drags on you guys.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's always tough.
So kind of thinking about the Big Ten, there's a lot of good towns, a lot of good schools. When you guys did road trips to away games, did you guys stay the weekend after those games, or did you guys head back right away? And if so, what are your favorite schools to go?
No, we're Big Ten. We're charter planes.
We're
football budget. We're football budget. Yeah, we rip out of there. I mean, it would be fun though. I mean, Big Ten school, like some of the schools there are pretty fun. Penn State, they throw you kind of on campus, so you can kind of see that they're like what they got. I'm really jealous of teams that get to stay here, except for I don't know how. I don't know if I'd be able to stay in my hotel room. Like we put them right next to where we live, and then we put them like right next to the rink, and it's like right next to State Street. It's like. If you go for a walk, I can't remember. I think Michigan State, they played on Lily's. If you know what Lily's, the pond hockey classic.
Yeah.
There's like thousands of people on the ice. We played Michigan that day, and I was having a hard time staying in my room for that one. I don't know how like the scratches on Michigan didn't buzz over there, but if we went out, I bet. I mean, they're all fun, I'm sure. I think our campus obviously is number one, though. We're just so tight, like everything's so like compact. Which has its pros and its cons probably, but I mean you're a block away from something fun usually.
My senior year, I separated my shoulder, but they let me come on the trip, and so I spent absolute time in Madtown. God, it was fun. Great
I
establishment.
mean, we never had guys. Honestly, we were always, and I was one of the guys. Like usually, probably one of the scratches. So I was always so scared. I was like, if my career ends because the coach found out that I was drinking, I was just so scared. I was like, I'm not valuable enough to like get away with that. But then we'd like be like a Saturday, and I would walk by the bar, not to like sewer guys on other teams, but I'd walk by like one of the bars on my way to go to get Chipotle, and I just see a couple scratches, and they're just ripping it up, and I'd be like, God, screw you guys.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, I was just way too scared to ever do anything like that.
you saved it for Saturday night and Sunday. I respect it.
Yeah, you get you got to earn your Saturday nights.
Yeah,
it makes it better that way anyway.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Our senior year we struggled. We were the first team to miss the fucking playoffs in 17 years or something stupid. First team to do that year, senior. It's like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to fucking drink and do shit like we did the first 3 years.
Yeah. Well, in high school, I was the first team my senior year was the first team to not make the tourney in like 9 years.
Yeah.
6 seconds left. We lost the Grand Rapids team. So I know the feeling of that.
Yeah, it's not fun. But what was kind of your guys' green light schedule like when it was go time in Madtown? Did you guys have like a usual, or did it change?
Like a usual place?
Yeah, like did you have a usual hop around, or was it one spot, 2 spots?
No, I mean it's KK till you die here.
Yeah.
I mean that's the place. That's the place to go. There's probably been more. There's been as much contact in that bar as there has some playoff hockey games, probably.
I believe that.
But somehow, yeah.
Did what was it like? So obviously Wisconsin, we talked about. You know, you're on it's a big campus, but you have football, basketball. You know, did you guys intertwine with those guys at all? You know, what was it like? Obviously, North Dakota was like the fucking belle of the ball. What was it like having, you know, other sweet, good sports teams at your school?
Well, I mean, like from a social perspective, I mean, it's always like hockey. You know, like hockey guys are the shit. Well, like, don't even have to add. They'll tell you. Like, so, I mean, like we always kind of had like a good social aspect. Most guys are really like just like kind of outgoing, and like some basketball and football guys are really like introverted and like just kind of post up.
Yeah,
it's not really a hockey guys thing.
Yeah.
So like from a social perspective, not really, but it goes with like meeting guys too. Like we had a freshman on Tyler Wall is roommates with one of our freshman classmates.
Okay.
So he was the only basketball freshman that year. We had 7 hockey freshmen, so they put him together as like the 7-8, and so we just immediately bonded with like the basketball team with him. So we've been really tight with the basketball team. We go to most of the games; they come to most of ours. So just kind of that's really cool. I don't think that's really something that's been a thing at Wisconsin until like now. We do like a lot of shit together with the basketball team. Especially like a social aspect when we're on the same schedule, which is pretty rare, but like all spring we'll probably be hanging out with them, that's probably a cool dynamic that they didn't have here before us. Our class kind of brought that about, and now like basketball team and the hockey team are pretty tight. That's football, I know a few of the guys, they're just like, but they're on the other side of campus.
Okay.
They're kind of over there. I think, I don't know. Basketball, if you want to talk about like a clout standpoint, I wish I could play basketball.
Yeah.
Like you walk in somewhere as a basketball guy, you're tall. Most of the time the hockey guys are noticed. Like it's like some girls would probably notice you. Half of them probably have something bad to say, half of them have something good to say, maybe. I don't know. But the basketball guys, they're just like, even the guys
you can't miss them.
Yeah, the guys that like hate guys on our team for talking to their girlfriends, like basketball guys probably been in their DMs for 2 months, and they see them and they don't care. They're like oohing and ahhing over them. It's like, nice, man. Yeah. But they play a sport where they don't wear a helmet. They like everything's like in your face. They get like 74 Instagrams per game. They post every single one of them. Yeah. Their story, you get carpal tunnel from tapping through their story after games.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, they definitely have the most like probably on campus.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
They're just so noticeable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wisconsin basketball's always had that fucking following. Like, I think back to when Frank Kaminsky was back there. I mean, the crowd for those guys was insane.
Yeah.
They play in the Kohl Center too, don't they?
Yeah. They've sold it out a few times, and so that's kind of why I was saying, like, whoever gets hockey back to that's going to be just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, they've packed it a few times, and like somewhat. I mean, as like a northern Minnesota, you're like, why? Like what?
Yeah.
But I've come to love I've come to love going to those games and like love watching basketball a little more. I kind of hated it when I got here, but now that I have friends that play it, and I've gotten to see how cool it is, like going to a school that actually has it. I think I'll throw on the Wisconsin jersey every March from now on. Tired and say that's my team. Like so. Same with football. Football's always been sick though.
Yeah.
Football's always cool.
I was gonna ask. So obviously you've played in some pretty cool spots. Like, what was your favorite spot to go on the road? It doesn't matter if it was food or because of the energy. You know, what were your favorite trips that you went
on? Well, going back to like my like dream school for some reason when I was in like high school was Ohio State, because I knew UMD was never going to recruit me. I knew UMD was never going to like me. Hermantown, they were never going to take me over Hermantown kid. So I just scratched UMD right out.
Be careful.
Yeah, we were season ticket holders. Our whole life. The love was never given back. But Ohio State, for some reason, was like my dream school. And I remember I was so excited to play there. I didn't get to play there until, sophomore year was like COVID, so I didn't really count. So junior year was like my first time getting to play there. And I actually got to play, so I was super pumped. And then I was out there and I was like, this place sucks. They got like 17,000. They got the same thing as us with the basketball, but they just weren't that good that year, so they didn't really have a good following. Yeah. This year they had a really good following. But Notre Dame was always super electric. I mean, every place in the Big Ten this year was crazy. Penn State was nuts. I think, and I don't want to give the Gophers any credit, but that when we lost to them, we were getting pumped pretty bad by them my junior year. And again, that was my first time getting to play at Mariucci, and I was like, that's kind of always like the dream, to play against the Gophers at Mariucci. And obviously you dream of being up by like 6-0 on them.
Oh yeah.
Then, like scoring one, and you know, but it was like 7-1. I don't know, but they were so loud, and like you get off the ice and they're like, some kid who probably knows you, at least through a mutual friend, is like 3 inches from your face telling you like you're a pussy. And then you're like, and it's like, what? But it was just so cool to play at Mariucci. A sold out Mariucci, especially after the years that it hasn't been good. Like, it was just really cool to see, honestly, and be a part of. Like, that was, I mean, obviously not fun to lose, but being out there in front of a packed stadium is like, it's the coolest thing ever.
It's the worst two in Mariucci, and they're just hammering that fucking MINNBSO. Gage would be fucking loving this topic right now.
We heard it 7 times, I think. But the year before, we beat them 7-0. So we ran it up on them with our first power play unit. And then our junior year, they just knives and just ripping it down our throat. With like, we had me and, I don't know, we were like double shifting me. And like, we had our third goalie in, and they were just ripping knives every other.
Jeez.
It was personal. That's what it should be. Rivalry. That's what makes rivalries. If we ever get, like, when we get Wisconsin back to a position, I hope I'm there for the day that we give it back to them.
Yeah. 2 things on that. One, I'm so glad you didn't say beating up on Duluth and getting the sleep in Duluth this year as one of the best spots. I'm glad that you find it not as.
Oh, I will actually. I have like one quick thing about this. Sorry, our freshman year, we thought we were just going to be the best team ever, and we should have been. But we had the UMD the first weekend, second weekend, and we swept them in front. That was probably the most packed Kohl Center had been, and that was like
Yeah.
my dream. I was like, I need to beat the Bulldogs. So that was when I got that out of my system, was a sweep. And then we started like the like. Oh yeah. I think we went on to lose 4 after that, but Cup when we swept Duluth for me but I got it out of my system, so this year it didn't feel as good.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean the Bulldogs has had a difficult time with Wisconsin. I don't think they've won more than one in their last 12 games or something ridiculous. So the second part was, do you think it's going to be a different atmosphere at Mariucci and some of these other barns? They're cutting up the ice, the concrete, I guess, right now and shrinking it down to the normal size rink. So do you think it's going to be different in there, or do you think they're going to pack it and they're going to be able to fly around just as much, even without as much space?
I think it's going to be significantly better, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what your take is, but I think the Kohl Center could use the same thing. We always kind of complain that it's too big.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, there's times where some guys like it, I guess, like little guys that have a lot of space, but I think it just slows down the game and sucks. I think it just takes, like, you want to play like a physical, hard game sometimes. I mean, definitely like the way I wanted to play. I didn't want to chase guys around. Like, I don't want to skate 30 feet to a corner. And I think it's just going to make the game a lot faster for viewers. Players it'll be just like any other game for players probably, but
sure.
The skill guys will still scale it up, and they might just get they might just get put on the train tracks once or twice.
Yeah.
It'll be much better to watch, I think, because it's going to be loud and it's going to be fast and it's going to be terrible to lose in that place if it's a hard physical game.
Yeah.
Did you have another one, Veech? I don't know if you built off.
Well, I was just going to talk about the coaching. You don't have to name anybody by name. There's a long list that's being whittled down right now of all the rumored people. And again, you don't have to name anybody in particular, but is there a style of coach that you would like to see come in or that you like to play for? Obviously, Tony was, like Trevor said, a great coach in many different rights, but anybody that's coming in, do you have a preference in terms of coaching style or things that you would like to see different?
I'd like my dad to get the job so that I would play a lot.
That's a great answer.
But no, I don't really know. I think like some guy who obviously there's so many good candidates and it's going to be a big job that people want. It's just weird. Like, no one would have ever thought that we would have had the record we have with Tony, with how good he is at like managing people. Like, every player had a good relationship with him, really. So it's just really weird. Like, you never know who's actually going to be a good fit. I think I just like the thought of someone who's taken players that maybe on paper aren't that good, and then they develop so well over their 4 years. So you look at like Mankato, and then like a group of guys that just like, overachieves every year, it feels like. So again, like, you got your Mankato's, like St. Cloud. I'm sure those are the same names you're thinking of, like Larson, Hastings.
Oh yeah, there are 2 on the short list right now. Sandlin and Carl both turned down interviews, but there's 3 or 4 others that were confirmed to have had an interview.
Yeah, our idiot reporter put out like David Carl as his top 3.
He's never leaving Denver. I don't know why he would ever do that.
That guy was ever coming out.
Yeah,
Brett Larson was my coach in Sioux City. If you guys got him, you would love him.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about that guy.
He just I don't know how Tony was, but I have a thing where, I listen to a coach, but I want to have a conversation with the coach too. Like, have him understand what I was thinking during that play, and like have a conversation rather than this is how we do it. If you're not going to do it, then you're going to be done. And that was just the way that he was. And Brett is very much like that. He knows how to speak to his players and ask what they were thinking and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that's what I've heard. Which is weird though. Sometimes you hear like Jeff Jackson. Some guys really like playing for him, but I don't think he says a word. I don't even know if he watches the games. Like, I think he's just like he's like Queen Elizabeth, like kind of a figurehead, I think, and then the assistants kind of,
Yeah.
So, but like guys love playing for him. So sometimes that's just like what it takes, or like. And he wins, so I don't really get what makes a good coach, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. From what I've heard, Brett Larson would be great. Hey, I mean, they all sound like, I don't know. They're not going to miss. The AD here is awesome.
Is that who I give my resume to?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in between trying to be like a grad assistant, so I'm gonna have to put my resume in somewhere.
You should. Absolutely.
So,
why not?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the extra paid assistant this year, I guess. You get like a third paid assistant or something. So we could take it, Trevor.
Yeah, I think they intend that for an additional goalie coach, but I'm not sure how that works if you're able to allocate it anywhere else. But yeah, I mean that extra spot on the roster or extra spot on the bench is huge for a lot of schools.
Yeah. Goalies are all right. I'm not a goalie coach.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could learn how to be a goalie coach.
You sit there and rip pucks all day. Yeah.
It's more of shooting class.
Yeah. As far as that coaching search goes, I'm sure the answer is no. But did the AD or anybody come in and talk to the team as a whole, or individual conversations about potential coaches or things that they would like to see?
Yeah. So like Wisconsin's AD has been really good. Obviously, he's made some pretty big changes and stuff, but he was really open with us about everything. What he did say was, like, don't make like rash decisions, like enter the portal and everything. Because saw with the football team, everyone just exited. Then they hired some guy that's pretty lights out, and they all wanted to come back. So no one's really panicked like that. And then we had like our assistant AD. We had a pretty good conversation with him about just walking through. It's not like an easy time. I mean, you obviously, no matter what, you have a relationship with your coach, and it's weird coming in when you don't have a coach. So to have someone there like in that role for a while, with him, and then our assistant coach Brandt, who's been there every day, it's good to just have someone there that we can still feel like. I mean, you're going through these horrible spring workouts, and at least you can still feel like you're chipping towards something. Otherwise, it just feels like you're like I don't know, ship without a captain or something.
Right.
But it's been all right, and everyone's still working hard, and it's kind of just business as usual right now until someone gets here, I guess.
Nice.
So the whole college hockey landscape has kind of changed over the past couple of years with the COVID year and whatnot. What do you think of the transfer portal yourself? Do you think it helps college hockey, or do you think it hurts?
I think it sucks. And this is a person who's currently in it and has been in it after his sophomore year. But I'm just saying it right now just to see around. Yeah, but I think it sucks, but I don't think it sucks in the way that a lot of people on Twitter are like butchering these kids over going places. Obviously, some guys I think it's stupid. But what sucks about it, I think, from a player's perspective, is that it kind of takes away any incentive, like I said, to develop kids and stay loyal to them. A lot of people butcher these guys for leaving, and they're like, "Oh, they're not loyal to their school." But really, from everyone around the league right now that I'm talking to that's been pushing the portal, they basically get pushed in the portal by their coaches.
Yeah.
And I think right now, like, having a full ride is basically like being overpaid on a contract.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective on it. Like, these coaches, they see a full ride who's like underperforming or whatever, instead of taking some accountability and being like, why is this guy not performing? Like, maybe I need to help develop him more. He's got 2 years left. We got to work with him and get him to where he needs to be. It's just kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to tell you that you're not going to play, and you're a good player, so you're going to go want to play. So you're just going to leave, and then I'll get that full ride back. So I think it sucks from the coaches are abusing it way more than players are.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's my perspective on it. I think it sucks, and I think coaches are the ones that are abusing it but it backfires. I mean, coaches will tell all their players to leave, and then they think they're going to get 3 guys in the portal because they're in there, and then they find out they get none of them, and then you just booted 3 kids from a team that were pretty good players. And so it's just, I think that's my perspective, and I don't know. Well, I hope they change it though. You should have to sit out, or there's got to be something different than just free agency mayhem every time.
Yeah,
over 100 kids in 48 hours is crazy, and that's before the other 20 teams are even done playing.
Yeah, and it sucks. I bet half those kids were pushed out by their schools.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I haven't even thought about that aspect of it. That makes a ton of sense, though.
yeah, I can only like attribute for ones that I've like firsthand felt, and I mean, I was never really pushed out because I wouldn't have been that big of a cap hit. Let's say that. But if I was a big cap hit, they would have gotten rid of me, and they can't tell you to leave though, because then but they just make it sound so miserable that like you're competitive, you want to leave and go somewhere else where it's going to be better. So
Sure.
I think that's a perspective a lot of people need to whatever. And if I was a little bit more active on Twitter, maybe I would chime in on a couple old heads that are butchering kids when they enter the portal.
Just
like,
text Gage. He'll throw out your comments for you.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
It's even worse when it's like a kid who leaves like a Big Ten school and they're like, oh, it's like, yeah, I'm sure the kid at the Big Ten school wanted to go to Clarkson. Like
yeah.
I think there's something up there that isn't the kid's fault.
Yeah.
Not to shit on Clarkson. I'm just saying from a life perspective.
No, Clarkson is great. Before we let you go, brother, what's if you could look back and talk to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you'd give to the younger generation?
Younger generation?
Yeah, the up and comers.
That's a good. I don't know. I think. Only 1% of players play college hockey, so good luck. But, I would honestly say like if I can do it, you can too. I try and like throw that message at kids. Like whenever I skate with like the high school team, even skated with them, I'm like, guys, like you just gotta just find your knack and stick with it and dominate whatever role you can get. And I think what a lot of guys when they go to juniors or even in high school, watching some high school kids now, they think they got to be someone other than they are. But you just gotta, you got to find out what you are first, and then you just got to stick with it and do it to the best of your abilities. Other than that, probably shoot a lot of pucks and maybe hit the stick handling aids, because it's really cool what some of these young guys coming in can do on those things on an open skate. Your skill is insane.
Yeah, the game is completely changing in front of our eyes. There's not many train tracks anymore. I mean, they come around every once in a while, but for the most part, it is small, fast, and skilled. No,
I have not been able to tell someone they suck in at least 4 years. Guys are so good out there. Everyone. Everyone's so good.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But Shay, we appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we might have to, once we know your future, we might have to have you back on, and we can dig into some more of the fun stories of the hockey world. But we appreciate your time today and wish you nothing but the best.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hope to get you down to Madison at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to get that dialed in here shortly.
Yeah, we'll set up the couch, have a little live stream or something.
I love it. That sounds
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
What's left of Bender.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.
And we'll see you guys next week.